Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Net Builders. We have a very special guest here from Virginia Beach. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name's Arti Kumar-Jain. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. Thanks for having me, RJ.
Thanks for being here. And would you like to tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. So, Via Holistic Life Care is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It is headquartered here in Virginia Beach. It is a entity that was created to provide services from the beginning of life, actually in the womb, all the way to the end of life, which sounds crazy, but it is comprehensive care from maternal care all the way to end of life through the coaching module. So what that means is providing health coaching, providing career coaching, providing relationship coaching, all the way through the different spans of life, including end of life coaching, and to make it on a sliding scale and a pro bono basis is a big focus of ours. So really looking out for partnerships and other opportunities in the community.
Wow, that's actually very amazing. That's very amazing. What got you what created the I'm sorry, what started this idea? That's I've never heard of a program or any kind of business structure that's actually been dedicated to this before. So what actually gave you the idea to go for it?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked because I'm starting to love telling this story because I think it's pretty amazing and I think anyone who hears it. But then I'm also reminded that every person who gets the opportunity to talk about their business always has something personal. So I love hearing people start too.
Well, I the reason why I ask is because of what you're doing is something that sounds so very selfless, but it's something that a lot of people need but don't know that they need. And for you to put together a program like this, I imagine it has to be a very powerful story behind it for such a powerful program. So that's why I asked. I always ask people this question, but I'm really interested in hearing your why, because I know it has to be something breathtaking.
Sure, sure. So, to share my journey real quick, RJ, I actually was in education for a number of years and then I switched to mental health counseling. Always have had a passion for working with kids and families. And then I stayed home and had my kids. In the meanwhile, my mom, she became a single mom to me when I was 12 because my dad had died early. And so she was a young widow who basically raised me and had some community support, but really it was, it's really that single parent, I feel like, who ends up, taking on responsibility. Long story short, I always told my mom when I got married, I moved here to Virginia Beach. I asked her to move here, but of course not until I had the grandbabies. So my mom packed up her bags and she came and lived not too far from us. And then in 2018, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer stage 4. And so I always share with people that I think your life changes, or even if it's not you that's going through a terminal illness, if you're a family member, I think it really changes your life forever. I have never seen a story that hasn't touched a family that, that close to heart that it doesn't change your life. And so through my mom's journey, I began examining my own life. Like I changed a lot of my nutrition. I became really interested in cancer treatment. Of course, you're trying your best to quote unquote save someone's life. But through this journey, RJ, my mom even would say she would say that it's a life altering moment. And what I mean by that is, and anyone who I encounter now who has looked at cancer as a big lesson doesn't call it like this evil thing, but more so a learning curve. And so I think in that story, I realized that it has been a learning curve. So she did pass in August of 2019. So we were given about a year, which was a beautiful year. My mom's passing taught me a lot, actually, because she was in hospice, so she got to be at home, actually in this room that I'm sitting in right now. Um, and and what ended up happening was along my grief journey, I would come into this room and I would light a candle, or I would come and kind of seek some solace. And one day, and you're not going to be able to see it, but it's on my website. My mom had written, this is called the Bhagavad Gita. My family's originally from India, and so, you know, she practices Hinduism. And the Bhagavad Gita, I never mean to do this, but it's synonymous with like the Bible, the Quran, you know, in that general scriptural world. And so in there, she had written these life stages. So if you go on my website, you really get to see it. So this is her handwriting. You probably can't see it.
I mean, 1 second. Let me make this big for the audience so they can see here.
I don't know if you can see it, but it is on the website as well.
Okay. Can you give us that website real quick?
Yes, www.DIYA holistic HOLISTIC lifecare.org.
Gotcha.
So RJ, what ended up happening, these life stages, even though you guys can't read them, I just show it to you because I want everyone to know there's something that you have to do with reading signs. And I had some intuition in life, but it really became increased when I started using some energy work that I do in my own life. And I looked at these signs and I was like, oh, my mom's so cool. Like, she thought about everything. It says your birth and background, your childhood and teenage. She goes through the life stages. And those of you who have a background in psychology, or you might have heard of Erik Erikson, who talks about life stages. She had written parenthood and family life, all the way through. And then it ends with your stars, hobbies. Like, it's like she had incorporated talking about your whole lifespan. Wow. So RJ, I look at it, I'm like, this is way cool, right? Come back a couple weeks later into this room, and I had helped to put together a workshop in Reiki, which is energy healing. Along the cancer journey, my I call him uncle now, but Dr. Sharma is a naturopath doctor based out of India, and one of my friends had gotten me in touch with him. So he came to the U.S. to do some workshops, and I was basically helping him to run them. So I also got what's called an attunement, which really helps you to come inward and focus on that alignment. And then I came back into this room and magic happened. Like, I was like, whoa, this is going to be the business. This is going to be the nonprofit. And Dia, my mom lit a candle as much as she could every day of her life. It was a way that providing light. So Dia, holistic, whole, and life, meaning your whole entire life coverage and care by holding someone's hand along the journey. Then at the same time, RJ, things come together because at the same time, I was like, I really don't want to go back to work for somebody. Like, you know, as I was entering the workforce again after, now that my kids are in school. And I didn't want to focus on diagnosing, to be honest with you, which is a big component of being in mental health. Okay. So then I really thought about coaching. And again, it all comes together. So in our graduate program, we had to design a business in my mental health counseling. And it was called Love and Light for Kids. And it was a mock business, right? Not everyone's going to do it. Some people are. A lot of my colleagues actually, I realized when looking, my classmates have actually done it. But for me, I wasn't thinking along those lines. And so Love and Light for Kids is the coaching business for, it's an LLC that is for children and families and school settings and tutoring. So that's like, I call it the kid business and the family business. And then this one is like the health, the professional, the end of life, the walking the journey. So that's this differentiation.
Gotcha. So Love and Life was actually a mock business.
A mock business. Yes.
So
the only difference is when I put the EIN number, which, when you get for tax ID purposes, I think it was very similar. Something was already taken. So I changed the S that I developed in that graduate program to a Love and Light for KIDZ LLC, which I think is cooler anyway. So it all works out.
Yeah. It adds the playfulness to it to let people know, hey, this really is for kids.
Yes. And to be honest with you, recently I'm coming across, there are a lot of clients who are asking for, I do a lot of work with anxiety. So I literally still, if they feel comfortable, I will see them under my umbrella for because I have a few that are 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And so, but as soon as we convert over to 19, and then that comes under the professional coaching when I start seeing adults. So I'd like to keep it to 18, but the parent-child family.
Okay. So so for the holistic company, I have so much interest in that company. I'm sorry. I think this mission statement altogether is just amazing. How does you say from birth all the way to end of life? Can you paint a picture of kind of some of the services and how that goes through?
Totally. So for the why we focus a lot on prenatal care is because moms, indeed, when they are, we have seen the research that that has happened for prenatal care. And I look at my own journey. So a lot of what's woven through this nonprofit is my own story, as well that I have seen out there. And in my own journey, I have found that with both of my babies, my mother-in-law and my mom were there for post-care. And I really had good nutrition. I had really good care for myself and my babies, right? And my husband, of course. Like, I just had a really good support system, which doesn't happen often. Oftentimes in our American culture, we expect mothers to just automatically go, and sometimes have to go back to work right away. They don't even get their full maternity leave. There's all kinds of things happening. Paternity care is in effect because we don't oftentimes give dads also the time and space they need to be able, right? Because we're in that work zone. So a big focus is in health coaching through the lifespan. So prenatal care, and really helping provide services for that umbrella. And then we get to the school years with the adolescent years, where a lot of that is really helping to focus again on health and nutrition all the way through. Then when we get to that juncture point where young adults want to know what they want to do with their lives, we can also help to do that coaching module with helping with career coaching. Then we get in, again, health is interwoven in all of these, right? If someone's trying to really say, I really want to focus on understanding my diabetes, or I really want to understand my chronic illness. I want to lose weight and maintain it for life. Those kinds of things, like really, and then helping to work in a comprehensive way to really help sustain change. Because RJ, here's the thing, change occurs for all of us, but it's not sustained. So that's the goal of coaching, is really to empower individuals by asking powerful questions so that they can then go inward, so that they can have a reflective experience. So then it becomes theirs, they own it, and then they can sustain for long periods of time.
Oh, outstanding.
And again, therapy is definitely, when I need to refer out, I do at this point, right? I'm not a therapist, and at this point, I'm not a mental health counselor. So I would refer out to a network, that if there's anything going on, or a network would come to me and we would do things in conjunction. And now, of course, I have a passion for cancer treatment. So I am what's called a holistic cancer coach. So RJ, in my journey, I went through a lot of education last year to get a lot of certifications. I really believe in making sure we provide quality care. So one of them was a cancer coach certification. And then I became what's called an end-of-life doula, which is walking alongside the journey of someone who is passing and their family, and post-care after for the family.
Wow. Like, that's amazing. And I understand you do a lot. You said you educated yourself a lot, but the mindset that you have to put yourself in to be able to walk along somebody their entire life, especially in the life doula, you know what I mean? Like, I love how selfless your entire organization is, but I can only imagine, like, what kind of mindset training did you have to do? I mean, I know you've done book training and everything, but what kind of mindset training does it take to be able to prepare yourself for something that your clients aren't even prepared for?
That's a great question. So RJ, in the very beginning, I was like, I haven't gone through a lot of self-doubt, because I just kept going. I was listening to the sign, and then I knew that this was the passion in this point of time, that my whole life has kind of led me to stepping into this. I never thought I would be in a leadership, even though I've had positions in leadership roles throughout, right? But I never thought, this is a different type of leadership role, to be out there owning your own business earning your own income, getting people on board. I have to, right now it's a solo show on my business for the coaching, and Thea's expanding to have volunteers. I do have a board, but really having to take charge. Like I'm sharing my story because I always say never. I give the example always of I said I would never drive a minivan when I was in my 20s. Guess what I drive, right? Like most people who say they will never do certain things in their 20s. I'm giving that joke because it's the thing is you never. I said I would never go. I had someone. My mother-in-law actually said, "Why don't you think about owning your own business?" A couple of years ago, and I was like, "Nah, no. Why would I do?
Mm-hmm.
My thing to you is you never know the script that is written for you until you start to live in it, and it changes, and the chapters change, and the edits change, and the red ink is out all the time, But the fact is that I think you can't underestimate your ability. And I'm sorry I'm bringing spirituality into this, but I just feel like if you believe in a higher being, then I think you will be led to believe so much that you just keep going. And when you do, I do have days and moments I'm self-doubting because it is a lot, right? When you're people who are listening and know how much it takes to start a business and to be an entrepreneur, and times when the seasons are rainy, when the income's not generating, but you hold steadfast because it's a season. And that's where I'm at right now. Remembering that growth, and my mom would tell me, like, one of the things she said before she died, she kept repeating it, was like, your flower, and she would speak Hindi with me, your flower bed will continue to grow. And she was talking about flourishment. I get people, meeting great people, but expansion. So she was reminding me, I think, that expansion means flowers do die, some of them live, but that doesn't mean you don't stop growing your garden.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. And I love both analogies with the flower garden and also seasons. I love the fact that I love the way that you put things. I still have a bunch of questions, but I'm gonna go way off topic. You're a very interesting individual. So,
I think we're all fascinating beings myself.
thank you. I love the seasons. How you brought that in the seasons. As an entrepreneur, a lot of people see the glitz and glamour of it. Oh, you're a business owner. You must be a millionaire, or you're a business owner. Always love that picture I see on Facebook with the iceberg. It shows the success at the top, and below it, it shows all the pain and stressors and conflicts that an entrepreneur has. So, what do you think is an individual's biggest excuse or biggest reason to not want to explore the realm of entrepreneurism?
Fear
of?
I just posted this in my on my Instagram account. I said, I don't know if I said it like don't. I try to be a little bit not so blunt anymore, but I think I did say don't let the fear eat your ear, because we are our own worst enemies when it comes to how far we can go. Again, I use spirit. When we were designed to thrive, but circumstances happen, and even folks who are when there's so many circumstances, we have the systemic racism, systemic poverty, systemic, but then you have folks who have literally done damage to themselves in terms of their own self-deprecation, which means on how they really may not have pre-existing conditions that make it hard to have a sustaining life, right? And they become their own worst enemies, and then it continues a cyclical cycle. Because RJ, I think every business can thrive in different seasons if we allow ourselves to stay with it. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying businesses don't shut down. I mean that we follow the trajectory, of what is happening, and knowing that if we do have to make modifications, that we kind of go with them. And then I also want to remind people who have been raised in poverty or in systemic racism, or all of the components, right? That you still have a chance. If you listen to Tony Robbins' story, and I use him as an example because he's been doing a lot of work during COVID with free workshops and free just really trying to build. He's always talking about giving back because his big mission now is, I'm in a really good place. How do I give back my gifts? And he's not the only one. If you start to listen to everybody's stories, I myself I didn't realize that it was trauma to lose my father in an early age, but it took me a while to identify that I also had my own. But when you look at people's stories and their trajectory, the more that we expose ourselves, the more that business owners also, if they share their story, will they empower people to start being like, oh, I can do it too. But we do need to go to our roots and start sharing our story. I didn't just get here by not having really horrible days, not myself having issues with mental health, myself having issues with depression. I myself can admit that today, which is really hard,
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's I could tell you're speaking it out of sincerity, but I do a lot of coaching in business, and I try to explain to my clients that your prospects or your potential clients need to know you personally. You know what I mean? Sure, they care a lot about what you can do for them, but the more personal that you make it, the more that they begin to trust you, especially for your content, your social media content. Make it more personal. I love that you hit that nail right on the head, like amazingly.
Honestly, RJ, it's taken me a while to get here. I had to turn the lens because as a therapist, you are supposed to watch how much you disclose. And I'm still very careful. The amount that I would to a client would have to be the right amount for them it would have to be in their best interest and for their benefit. However, I also find that sharing that I've been through this too, or because I don't, this gets created a lot, right? This I'm here and you're here, and oftentimes I'm sure you feel like your clients are coming in, they're already nervous. So creating this comes through creating stories and sharing, and your profession. I feel like professionalism comes through being authentic, and I think authenticity is just a big component of life, and so I think that's just good practice in running a business. Period. Like, whatever industry you're in.
Definitely. I think that that's what you don't have a lot of. There's a lot of underhanded, but I it makes sense. When you have that common ground, you have that authenticity, then a lot of things are transparent. You know what I mean? And it's you see what you see is what you get. There's nothing behind the curtain. This is it right here. And I think that creates it brings a lot of value. And I appreciate the value you're bringing to the audience today, to me as well. So I appreciate that a lot. You talked about outsourcing earlier. That's something that I have a lot of. I'm writing a book on time management right now, so I cover a lot of outsourcing.
That's my. Oh my goodness, time management is definitely the area that I could use some work on. But anyways, go ahead. I'll be reading your book, RJ.
I'll send you a free copy. I got you.
Thank you.
But you seem like you do one of the things that is so hard for me to convince my clients to do, which is outsourcing. For some reason, it's like pulling teeth to get my clients to outsource. And I think personally, I'm going to ask you a question, but my answer to it is I think that solopreneurs are so hands-on and they're so critical of their work that they're afraid to let somebody else touch an aspect of their business because they're like, hey, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. So why do you think that solopreneurs are so afraid to outsource?
I think you're right on it. I think it is the fear. I mean, I am of course expanding the nonprofit because it's a big entity that needs fund. Running a nonprofit is fundraising and grant writing, and there's a lot of, in addition to providing services, and then you see how comprehensive this is, this beautiful beast. But also on the other side of the LLC, although I'm a solo right now and doing a lot of contract work, I do find myself like, yes, I'm a little bit afraid of what it's going to look like when I add on to that piece. And I do have fear around will my vision that I have still, when I add on people, will they still be able to carry it out? And actually the answer to it is, when I'm talking to you, I think it is yes, because I will make sure that that they really are people that value the mission and the work. But the first step is, I myself have fear of going from solo on that front to expansion, because it's a big leap. And control. This is an issue of power and control. Simple, RJ. I'm not going to even lie to you and say it's not.
I love your honesty in it. I love your honesty.
Power and control. Like, I want to do it my way. I never thought I would say this. I just had this conversation with my husband. It was so trivial, and I was like, oh, maybe this is a power control issue. Well, it was, yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is, you don't realize, but we're all part of power and control, and entrepreneurship is very much of that dichotomous pair of power and control. So I created this. This is my vision, right? I want to have things line up in this vision. If they don't, then, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. This could be some of the rhetoric that is going in the mind or in the unconscious, right? If I bring someone on who doesn't get it, then my business model, the way that I vision this may not happen.
Yes, and your business, it's a direct reflection of you. You know what I mean? It's
totally.
It's like,
they're out there, RJ. Like, I am out there. Like, it's really hard. I'm sure people are listening and they like Google themselves. I Google myself now just to check that everything's legit. But I mean, but it's scary, right? Like, you're really out there. I mean, in a way, you're kind of famous when you have a business.
Yes. Your information's public. You open the door. You open the door.
Everything.
Everyone can come in.
Yeah, to everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's, it's like somebody who applies for top secret clearance for the government. Mm-hmm. They're exposed in order to get that clearance, right? I mean, I've had people come to me that have asked, that I've been on the recommendation list, and the questions they ask, they're pretty intense, because they want it. You have to be an open book to get to that. Same with having a business. You are in the place where you are literally being asked to be an open book. Mm-hmm. And if not asked to, you do need to be. You have to make a commitment that you are exposed in a good way, but a hard way. So you have to do the work. I mean, RJ, you have to do the work. Like, I say it all the time. We're making our clients do the work, but you literally have to do the work at every single day and every single moment. But even before you start doing the business, like you really have to do the work.
Yes. Let's talk about the work, because that's I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand. So you have Bitcoin, you have these get rich quick things. And they're just popping up all over the place. And I understand some people are getting success from it. My issue with it is that quick success like that, it's not lasting, because I always use the example of a young kid at 17, his father's rich and buys him a Lamborghini for graduation, and that kid doesn't care about that car. He's gonna go get drunk, party with his friends, and wreck it, and say, "Dad, where's my next car?" But you have a father that says, "Hey, son, when you graduate, you raise $500 from your part-time job, and I'll match you $500 and get you $1,000 car." Now this kid is gonna take care of this car. It's gonna be pristine. Even the rust outside, he's going to spend every day sanding it down. His friends get in this car to try to drink a milkshake. "Don't you drink in my car." "Well, your car's a piece of crap." "It's my piece of crap. I earned it." Totally. So I feel like these individuals that are involved in this quick money, they're not finding ways to use it to build anything. I feel like it just comes and goes, because it's that Lamborghini. And as soon as it's gone, hey, give me my next chunk of change, So what work do you think that these new entrepreneurs are missing? What parts or factors of work ethic do you think are just absent?
So RJ, I think we need to focus on wherever we start with when the decision is made with entrepreneurship, whether people actually have realized they're going to go to business school and do this, or wherever it is, that mindset of service. In Hindi we call it seva service, and different languages actually. I mean, they all have a word for it. But if we look at everything, um, everything is service. You are providing a service by educating individuals on how to become a better entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur, to trust their instincts. This is service, what you do. People who host podcasts, I also have one, and I realize I'm providing service with content and trying to help change the trajectory of negative mindset, negative thinking, so that really we can let go of these clouds that we have created for ourselves. So, RJ, I would go back to service. How do yes, if you have dreams of having your Lamborghini, fine. You want a mansion? Fine. Then how are you going to find a way to serve in your business so that you realize money's energy, and you will have good money if you do it with love, compassion, all those good ingredients, and let go of the negative, like, I need that money quick, because it's not going to come to you. It just does. And for some, you're right. I shouldn't say that. For some, it does. But those stories don't have the passion of the longevity. When they look at the end of their life, they'll be like, yeah, I did that. But they're not going to be that person at 70 or 8 years old if they get a chance and they are terminally ill and they look back. Or even God only knows what happens to people in their last moments if it's tragic, right? But what is going through your mind is the replay of your life. And in that replay, I don't think I've heard anyone say that quick money did anything for them besides it was fun for the moment.
For the moment.
The long haul. And I encourage people, whatever you want, you can have. If you want those things, you can have it, but you have to, in order to dream it, you have to do it, which means you have to see it. So dream, see, say, do, or whatever it is. But what I'm trying to get at is you do it all through service. And your business is your service. It's your car. It's your engine, and it needs lubrication, and it needs to have its wheels aligned, which means that it's going to cost. It's not going to just be profit all the time. There are costs associated. I can't ever think that I'm ever not going to be, my first years are all about being in the minus hole right now while I'm building, even though I work out of my house. You still have expenses,
Definitely. I think that's also a fear for entrepreneurs coming in expenses. They don't understand that, and it's not even so much as expenses too. I think you hit both of those nails on the head. Time and expenses. They're afraid to invest that in. And time, I think, is the biggest one, because it's easy to throw a bunch of money at your business. It's easy to throw a bunch of money, especially Facebook ads. Oh my gosh! When I first got started, I threw Facebook so much money and ads, but that time, once I started going online, I started reading more books. I understood, I need to generate content. I need to, attract my customers and clients to me, and that took time, and also educating myself, which I'm so happy that you mentioned that earlier too. It's taking the time to educate yourself, which is actually proven one of the hugest factors or traits that the most successful entrepreneurs have, is educating yourself, constantly building and growing your mindset, and just to be able to provide more content and value to your clients. So
that's service, right?
Yes.
Service too. To be honest with you, we were designed to keep learning, and actually all of these things help to keep your brain sharp and active, so you actually do live a better quality life anyways, period. But then also service to your clientele. They deserve top-notch service, right? Which comes through educating ourselves. So I think it's a beauty behind that you do it for yourself, and you can start with doing it for your clients if that's your mentality, but you'll see shifts in yourself too, which makes it awesome. Whichever way you start, it doesn't matter. It'll all hit both ways.
Definitely. So Am I saying this word right? Mompreneur.
Mompreneur, yeah. Let me tell you, why I bring up mompreneur. I didn't even know this concept until recently because Amy Cruz is an awesome entrepreneur who I actually was on her podcast a few weeks ago. She runs a business called Moms on Maternity. And I'm actually we're just trying to figure out components of how we can really collaborate in some projects together. But I was on her podcast a few weeks ago and we were talking, I mean, we didn't bring up mom entrepreneur, but it is kind of that concept.
I love when I said the word, your whole face just lit up.
I really am big into this now, RJ, because I think moms, like, for a while, I was like, what am I going to do after staying home, knowing that I still had the vision of going back to work, or moms are smart. You just become smarter in a different way because you're doing so much. So I think we need to have more people realizing, let's capitalize on our moms wherever we are. Now, let's not underestimate how awesome they are. Sure, maybe they're like scattered where they leave their job at 2:00 and they're going to pick up their kids. But what did they get done in those hours? Because they are truly so gifted in the idea of time management, you said, because they do. Yes. They know, they get it. And they also have great ideas because they have seen different facets of life through bringing life into the world. I really think it changed. I mean, there's no one I've seen that it's not changed their life.
Moms are awesome. Like my wife, we have 4 kids, and the different solutions that she comes up with stopping the shenanigans in this home is amazing. like I mean, and by definition, an entrepreneur is a person that provides solutions to a problem. And moms have no idea that they've been honing these skills forever. They've running around with the kids fixing everything.
Everything. In every facet of life, right?
Every facet. Like, they've been honing these skills forever. And it's like, I love the fact that more of them are starting to step out like you and say, how can I share this service, as you said, I love that word, with the rest of the world? And I hope more of them follow your example and start to, get out there. I think that that's amazing because there's so many traits and characteristics that they have. Patience. A lot of entrepreneurs lack patience, and it's because they want instant gratification for the work that they're doing. But moms, potty training, no. You're going to be at that for a while.
That's no joke. Yeah, exactly. You're right. And really learning how nothing goes according, and you know this, you're a dad, you have a family, nothing goes according to plan, and that's what owning a business is. Yes, you have a business plan. Well, I actually didn't, but I mean, most entrepreneurs you are supposed to have I also give that as an example. My business plan is my mom's life stages for the nonprofit, and
that's beautiful.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is don't underestimate. I really think when you don't know what you're doing, for some of these moms who might be listening, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's okay. Take that time and really listen to the fact that it's going to generate that. I don't know what I'm going to do is going to start to generate some ideas as you get a chance to reflect on what it is you really want to do, and then put it out there. And honestly, RJ, I think more moms need to be fair to themselves about doing this, because it'll allow them to do all the different roles that they want to be able to do. And most moms do want to be able to spend more time with their children. It's just a big component. And so I think kind of reaching that place where they get a chance is really important to do. So I really appreciate you taking the time to recognize and empower women and mom and entrepreneurs to really look into their beautiful skill set.
I think you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. My wife, she just recently started. I tried to get her for the longest time. Get out of the house, find a hobby, leave the kids here with me for a day. I think I'm probably the only husband who begs her to go away, leave me with the kids for a day, go do something, because you're going crazy dealing with these kids all the time, you know. And she finally found a hobby that she turned into a business, Forays Cosmetics, and she is loving it. But now she's starting to see a lot of my frustrations when I was like, leave me alone so I can work on my business. So now she's starting to see it, and I had to understand that, believe it or not, even though I had gotten mad at her, or I would get frustrated where she wouldn't leave me alone to work on my business, I had the same problem with her where, you know, she's working on her business and I'd be like, hey babe, where's the bleach at? Or how do I turn on the washing machine? And she's like, leave me alone, I'm working on my business. And I'm like, that sounds so familiar. So dads, I say this to you, if you're listening to this and your wife wants to start a business, you have to understand that it is a two-sided coin. You have to help out, you know, grab the kids and run to the park. Leave her alone in the house for a day. Let her work. If you see that she's struggling or something, take your hand, reach it out, ask her, what do you need help with? If you see her start getting too frustrated, tell her to put her work down and take her out for dinner. You know, just be supportive in it, because when the way that she put her heart into your family and raising your children, imagine if she took that same energy and put it into a business. It's going to be amazing. So be very supportive with it.
I'm quiet because that's just such a, I mean, you haven't said so many great things, but it's true, RJ. Like, you know, part of being married to a business owner is having support. Part of being married when you're working parents is supporting. Part of being a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad it's all about, and even if you're not married, if you're just, you know, whatever relationship you are, even if you're solo, whatever it is, give yourself credit to know that we can all do this. If you want to do this, you can do this. I just want to say that as a message. If you want to do this, then go ahead. Everybody's story that we see online started somewhere. Mm-hmm. And the more you dig into them, they all started somewhere. We just haven't had a chance to see them because they're already there. So I love the fact that you are introducing this audience and others who are listening to the fact that we all have roots and are laying down foundation to get to where we all would like to go.
Definitely. I think the most important story, I don't, there's a quote and I don't know exactly how it is, so I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's the journey, you know. It's the journey that's the most amazing thing. I've never been inspired about Bill Gates' success, but his story getting there, knocking on doors and trying to get donations, you know, and that passion that he put into it, that's what inspires me. Like, hey, the richest guy in the world once started where I'm at. If he can do it, I can do it. And I agree. And I look forward to 3 years from now, you know, reaching back out to you and you're on top of the world. And I'm like, man, I have a podcast right when everything was getting started. This is amazing, you know, just to see everything and her visions come to fruition. Like I think that's the greatest joy of doing this webcast or this web series, is being able to meet people with similar mindsets, but being able to find different insights within them. You know, you definitely have one of the freshest and I would say most interesting and probably most positive outlooks on entrepreneurism as a whole. You know, you used a lot of great metaphors and you just are very knowledgeable on this, and I just love the way you look at it. You don't look at it as a job, you know, you don't look at it as a burden. Like, you look at it as something that you really want to do, and I think that empowers a lot of the other mompreneurs that are watching this, and I hope it empowers them, you know. That's yeah. Sorry, I kind of got long-winded on that one.
Not at all.
So, is there anything else you would like to tell our audience before we go today?
RJ, I said it earlier, but I really want you know, the listeners and viewers to understand, like, just don't take it for granted the fact that if you have a vision or a dream, I mean, kids were led to dream, and I love when my kids build their little Lego lands right now, and I'm like, they're always building. So why are we stopping that just because we lost? I know the adult brain becomes crazy and whack, and it's just a lot going on, but try to bring yourself back to the fact that you are allowed to dream, and you can do it. And I'm not going to underestimate you. You have to work hard. My mom would always say, like, people are so lazy. Like, they need to use their hands. That means when you type, do it with passion. When you cook, do it with passion. Like, you're going to work with your hands, right? When you drive, you're using your hand. We use our hands for everything. So stop whining about how hard it is, because you're already doing it, right? You're actually doing it.
I love that. I love that. I never thought about that. And now I probably got to stop being such a crybaby because I just it just struck a nerve on me there.
We're already doing it. So just add on another layer of what you really want to be doing with your life. And if you are someone who is the sole provider of your family, then for a while, yes, you're probably going to be doing both while you transition. And going in, I'm in a master health coach class, and a lot of my colleagues are doing that. They're making the transition, and they're scared. They're really scared of how it's going to look. But they own their fear of that transition, but they're ready to take it on too. So I'm going to leave with that comment of don't let the fear eat your ear, because give it a little bit of credit for a little while, like feel it, and then just release it.
Gotcha. Feel it and release it. I love that. Well, thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure having you on this show today.
Thanks, RJ, for having me. I so appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you, viewers, for watching. And you can tune in for our next episode. And until then, see you later.